Hey everybody, konnichiwa, how are you? I hope you're all doing well. Today is January the 18th. I hope to film this and get it up the same day, so you guys have something new to watch. I just got home. You can tell I'm still wearing the tie. I changed into my kind of in the house coat from my suit coat. I wear a tie on days when I teach. Tuesday is a day I teach. I'm a little more casual. I usually, just wear a collared shirt on days when I'm not teaching at the university. I'm sitting on my kotatsu. It's very cold still where I am in Japan, and I've got my heater actually going, so I hope that there's no noise. Um, I wanted to talk to you about my cell phone, so we're going to get to that. And I don't have all the answers to cell phone. You guys have probably tons of cell phone questions. Feel free to leave comments with questions. I'll do my best, but I'm certainly by no means an expert. As most of you know, if you watched my channel for the first 5 years I was here, I actually did not own a cell phone. I did not have a cell phone the entire time I was a jet. I didn't see the need for one, and I'm starting to think that that's the case again with the new one that I bought. But I'll explain all that when I get to it in a minute. Got home, watched SUMO. That's my big thing right now. For 2 weeks out of every odd-numbered month, I'm addicted to SUMO. I have my own SUMO channel here on YouTube. I've mentioned it before. I can put the link down in the box. And it, don't feel like though, when I talk to Japanese people about sumo all the time, I know way more about sumo than 90% of the Japanese people that are under the age of 40. It's not like it's that popular. You don't feel like you have to come over here and instantly like learn all this Japanese special culture and stuff right away. You don't. But it's nice to take an interest in something that Japanese people can relate to, because you will find that you can't talk about Glee or The Simpsons or the Packers or the Redskins or a lot of this type of stuff with Japanese people. Now, of course, some of it they do follow. NBA, the Major League Baseball, English Premier League Soccer. Some of it's very popular here. But for instance, last night on TV, there's a thing going on right now called the Asia Cup. It's a big soccer tournament for Asian nations like Korea and Japan often do well, but also they include like Iraq, and we played Saudi Arabia last night, and for some reason Australia's in it. I don't know quite how they end up being an Asian nation, but so the game was on, and Japan won 5-0, and it was very popular. They play again Friday or Saturday. I'm sure it'll get huge ratings. The national team, kind of an all-star team for Japan, is playing in this tournament. It's taking place in like somewhere in the Middle East, Qatar or somewhere. I'm not sure exactly. Anyway, so I watch the game. I try to stay a little current on what's going on. Getting the English language newspaper that I've mentioned many times helps, because there's one page in there, the front page, of course, whatever major Japanese story is happening, and then there's one page which is all national Japanese news. So it helps to be a little connected when you're chatting with coworkers or something that are Japanese, to have some frame of reference for what their, what's taking up their time when they're in their off time. Okay, a little digression there. So let's talk about cell phones. So I had basically a choice. I could go with KDDI, and they have the Android Google phone, which is made by Sharp. I could go with Docomo, which, just for the Star Wars reference, I almost went with. Now, I mean, if you looked at it, it's just pages and pages of cell phones that you can get. There's so many different kinds. They do, it's overwhelming when you go into these stores. And then there's SoftBank, and that's the members of SMAP who advertised for SoftBank. That was Watanabe Ken, in case you didn't know, from The Last Samurai and Batman Begins, with Darth Vader there. So SMAP advertised for SoftBank. Now, again, there's just tons of choices, colors, and in the sort of more conventional Japanese style keitai. keitai is pretty much, you know, what you're going to hear when you hear about cell phones. Now, SoftBank has the iPhone. Okay, so being a Mac guy, as you guys know, I'm pretty into Apple things. I wanted an iPhone. It was just something familiar. And here's the snag. If you come over as a Jet, you're going to get a visa that's good for 3 years. Whether you stay 1 or 2 or 3 on it, it's good for 3. And to get an iPhone and to get the package where the phone is basically free, and you sign up, say they want you to sign up for a 2-year contract, basically for them to hand you the phone and you to not have to pay much. My visa as a professor at a university is only good for 1 year, and it's renewable every year. So that might be different if I get tenure or something. I'm just telling you what I know, my experience. So I went to SoftBank and people warned me and they said, sorry, we can't give you the 2-year get the phone for free deal because your visa is only good for a year and you're a gaijin and maybe you'll go home after a year and we'll never see you again and get our money. They don't say that, but that's what the subtext is. So my option to get an iPhone was to just buy the phone. Just buy a brand new iPhone and then sign up for the service with SoftBank, who is the sole provider, just like AT&T used to be in the States. I've heard Verizon now is going to be able to do the iPhone. But it's expensive. The phone, just to buy an iPhone, I should have looked it up. Sorry, I didn't. I'll put it down in the box. I want to say it's like 5 mon, which is about $550 American, to buy an iPhone here. About 50,000 yen. And I just don't have that kind of available cash on me, so I said, you know what, I can't do that. And the other thing I've heard about, and again, this is anecdotal evidence, but I think it especially is true in the rural areas of Japan like I'm in, SoftBank isn't the best provider. Their service on like actually connecting calls, etc., isn't that good. Their reputation, when you talk to people, Japanese people as well, isn't that good in rural areas. Now, in urban areas, if you're going to be somewhere near Osaka or Tokyo, maybe it's fine. I don't know. I know, for instance, Kansai PJ has an iPhone, and I don't think he complains. The only people really that I've run into in my rural area since I've gotten a phone and I've showed it to people and they're like, oh, what kind of phone do you have? And we've done the chit chat about keitai, have been the other professors at my school who are from foreign countries. They're the only. I can only think of 3 people on campus that have an iPhone, and that's 1 student who lived abroad and 2 foreign professors. Everybody else just has your standard Japanese cell phone, and like I said, there are a myriad of choices. They're very advanced, etc. And the people, if you've grown up with it, you're very used to it. But smartphones, where you touch the screen, like an iPod, like an iPhone, are still not that common. This is really the first one that's not an iPhone that I think might catch on. Okay, I should take it out of its protective thing. So, having said all that, that's why I went with AU and bought the IS03 Android Google phone. Okay, it's made by Sharp. And there's different colors. I happen to get the one with kind of the orange rim because when I went, they were sold out. It just came out at the very end of November, and I went to buy it at the beginning of December because my brother was coming to Japan, as you all know now. And he's like, you have to have a cell phone. I have to be able to call you, etc., etc. And I agree. I mean, it was about time that I got one. This was the only color they had left that day. There's like 4 colors you can get. And this one is kind of the AU branding color, and they even gave me this free, or maybe I paid for it like $4 or something, but I don't really like it, but it protects it, and it's very bright orange. But this is what the phone looks like, and so I went with them because I did end up signing up for 2 years, and they had no problem with me doing that with my visa. They didn't even ask to look at my visa. They just asked to look at what's called my gaijin card. And and you will need that no matter what cell phone you get, no matter where you go. But AU's pretty easygoing about all that. And so what I'm doing is I'm buying the phone, but I'm paying it off monthly. And by doing it over 2 years, by signing up for a 2-year contract, I think this phone, I want to say, was like, if I wanted to just buy it, it was like 6 mon, which is like almost $700. Insane. But because I'm paying for it monthly, it ends up being like 2.8 mon. So that's about $320 I'm going to have ended up paying by the time I, paid it off monthly. Still expensive. And I'll get to the cost and everything in a minute. I have a little bit of buyer's remorse, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But let's first go over just some of the features. I don't think too many other, vloggers have talked about the Android phone. So you wake it up. It's the standard, you unlock it. It shouldn't go off that fast. I think I have it set to 2-minute delay. Oh, maybe because I'm not unlocking it. Okay. So, unfortunately, this camera is only going to be able to show you so much. I've changed the language to English. There's only two language options, which surprised me. I thought they might have Chinese, Korean, and Portuguese. There's more Chinese, Korean, and Brazilians in Japan than there are people that speak native English. But English is the only other language option other than Japanese. So I did switch it. Some people will tell you, no, keep it in Japanese. It helps you learn Japanese. I don't want to struggle when I'm trying to use a device like this, so I switched it to English. There's a home screen, which I haven't really played around with that much, and you can import like often used apps onto this home screen. And I just got the manual. So when I bought the phone, let me show you. I got this, fairly thick little, book, and of course it's all in Japanese. So there's one page in here of English instructions, and then it says, if you want to learn how to use the phone in English, download the manual from this AU website. Well, the phone was so new they hadn't even translated the manual yet, and it just came online in the beginning of January. So I just got it about a week ago. I got the PDF, downloaded it, and I've started to learn how to use. But even that's not very complete. I'm a little underwhelmed by the level of support, but it is the second language. I can't complain that much. I'm sure in Japanese there's much more documentation. I know I took it to a guy today to ask him to help me do something, a kind of techie guy at my college, and he instantly was Googling in Yahoo Japan in Japanese, and found diagram, all kinds of things to help me figure out what to do. So, it's this basic swipe. This is just a little thing. You've got kind of pages, and the Google bar, of course, is right there. I know you can't really see. Yeah, right on top of Wonder Woman's breasts is the Google search bar. And the basic 3 buttons down here are the phone. Okay, come on. So if you want to make a call, God, I don't know any way to get that yeah, you can kind of see it's like too bright. Oh, there we go. Okay, the phone, and then mail. So like text mail. So what you're going to find, and I was just listening to a podcast, Japantix.com. They do a pretty fun podcast. They said something, and it's very true. Nobody in Japan talks on their phone. The plan I got is for 60 minutes a month. That's all I get to talk, 60 minutes a month. If I go over that, I don't know what it starts to be. I'll probably never use it. Everybody just texts, sends out emails in the form of text, and you get a special, .docomo, .aus is .easyweb, .ne.jp. You get an email, and you just text back and forth. It's much cheaper, and I'm paying for a package because this is a smartphone that allows me complete access to the internet. But most Japanese cell phones don't have that kind of browser capability, so you just pay for phoning and texting. And then, of course, I've got the little world symbol down here, which gets me onto the internet, and it's the Google browser, and it's not coming up. I think my blog is my homepage. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so it's pretty fast. The 3G on here is pretty good. At home here, I've got 3 bars for calling, but like you go up the mountain to my school, and it's not that good. But like I said, I haven't barely made any phone calls with it. I haven't dropped a call or anything yet. So in addition to this, you hit this button and then you get all the apps. And there was 4 pages of apps, and what's that? 3, 6, 9, 12 per page, all just pre-installed on the phone. So you can swipe or just hit the button, and you're not really going to be able to see any of them. But Angry Birds is down there, just so you know. Okay, so I've got 4 pages of stuff, and I've downloaded 2 and taken a few off. There's tons of Japanese stuff that's part of it because it's a Japanese phone. Things that I will probably never use, like the Japanese sort of iTunes. It's called Lizmo. Mixi, which is kind of like the Japanese Facebook. There's Navi things for when you're driving. There's a pedometer for when you're walking, which seems to be a really popular thing. There's a compass. Dictionaries, notepads, timers, calendars, calculators, contents manager, 1seg. 1seg, there's actually a little antenna here that pops out. It looks like R2-D2. And you can watch, terrestrial, is that the right word? TV on the phone. And obviously, just like an iPhone, you can go into landscape mode. It's not going to change for this menu. And then, like when I watch a YouTube video on here, you turn it to the side. And you can watch TV on here. But again, the caveat is I'm in the Inaka. So I don't get really any channels. If you're in Osaka or, near Tokyo or somewhere, even maybe near Fukuoka or Hiroshima, you probably get decent reception. And you can watch Japanese television on here. You're not going to get HBO or anything on here, or Fox or CNN, but Japanese television. And it has built-in, it's some amazing capabilities. It has built-in DVR. You can tape television on here and watch it later, and yada yada. So there is an earphone jack, just like an iPod. And my guess is maybe if, the soccer game were on at 1 o'clock this afternoon and you were working, you would put it into your phone. Oh, I'm just opening an app. And watch it maybe on the train home that night if you were a salaryman, and you'd have the earphone in and you wouldn't be bothering anybody. You'd just be sitting there watching your phone, watching, the day's baseball game or whatever. There's Oseifu Keitai, which is like, I kept it in there. I don't think I'll use it, but if I lived in Osaka or Tokyo, it's where you're basically your cell phone, you just kind of like wand it over things, and it's like a debit card. You put money into an account, and then you can take it, and it zaps it through infrared or whatever, and it takes the money off your keitai. You'll see it at vending machines all over. Even the coin laundry I go to, you can do it. You just like rub the back of your keitai on this pad, and it takes money off your phone. It's very common here in Japan. There's, of course, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and all that stuff on it. Of course, the AU market is all in Japanese. So there you're seeing it loads pretty fast. And this is where you can buy all kinds of apps. I don't speak or read Japanese well enough to utilize this. If I really needed an app or something, I guess I could ask a friend and they would help me. So I haven't explored that much. But there is the Android market, which is all in English. And I don't know if that's because I set my preference of language to English, or if it's always in English. But there's not as many apps, of course, as the iTunes App Store, but there's a lot. And I did go, and some of them are free, and some of them are 99 yen, some of them are 200 yen, which is like 250. So I downloaded Facebook for mobile, I downloaded Google Translate, and I downloaded Angry Birds, which was free. It's a game. If you don't know what Angry Birds is, man, where have you been? The video camera on here is really good. The camera on here is really nice. It's all in the back, and there's a light and infrared and all that good stuff. there's no music thing, I think. Although that might be part of like Lizmo, like storing MP3s on here and listening to music. Yeah, so Gmail, of course, is built in because it's, you know, a Google Android phone. YouTube, Google owns YouTube, that's built in. For instance, when I took a video and I wanted to share it, one of the options is to share it by email. Well, the files are too big, so you can share it by YouTube. But you have to have Wi-Fi to upload to YouTube from the phone. It doesn't go over 3G. Strange. Don't have Wi-Fi here at the house, so I got to do it at school. That's what the guy was trying to help me with today. He's going to get back to me on how to enable the phone for Wi-Fi. And, you know, lots of other things. So one cool thing I'll show you just kind of for fun is Google Translate. So you go to Google Translate, and so, you know, Japanese to English is how I have it set up. I know you're not really going to be able to see that. If I do that? No, not really. Anyway, so it says input text in Japanese, and then it would translate it into English, and of course you can switch that. I can type in, and I should just show you. So when I type, I get, you know, the regular QWERTY keyboard, and then you hit a button, and you get numbers, and you hit a button, and hiragana, you know, it's the hiragana for ah, but it obviously looks like English, and you type in, say, you know, something, and then all these, you know, suggestions come up, and it will change it to kanji for you. It's very, very helpful when you're trying to type in Japanese, and it will probably help my Japanese a little bit. So I just typed in ga, G-A, and I get the kanji for, you know, gakusei, gakko, you know, things that I've typed before, and then of course just ga, and, you know, etc. So that's kind of nice. You can change the keyboard so it looks like a keitai with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because so many Japanese people and Americans are used to, you know, using their thumb and doing it really fast, and you can do it that way, but I went for the regular kind of, you know, QWERTY looking keyboard when I type mails. But in this Google Translate program, I will just tell you real quick, is it says input text in Japanese. There's a little microphone over here, and you can actually talk to the phone and say a word, and then it will tell you the definite, you know, what the word is in Japanese, sometimes in kanji, sometimes in hiragana, and then what it means in English, because you've got it set to translate. So for instance, let's try it here. Omedetou. Okay, and it's translating, it's giving me omedetou there. I don't know if you can see it, and it means congrats. Okay? Because you didn't use the gozaimasu, which maybe you'd get congratulations. So that's pretty cool. You know, if I hear a word on TV or something, and I don't know how to spell it necessarily or whatever, I can just say it into the phone, and it will tell me what it means. I could see where that will end up being helpful. And that's Google Translate, which, you know, is a free download from the Android market. What else do you want to know? Yeah, so far there's different kinds of mail. Just real quick to go back, I can obviously send Gmail, but some, like, I used to send email to some of my students and some of my teachers and stuff after I left, and I would try to send something from my Gmail in America to their keitai, and it doesn't always work. Like Docomo is notorious for not being connected well, and sometimes, you know, it's just because there's a setting on their phone where it says they block, you know, outside email. They only get inter-keitai email or whatever. So having a .easyweb, .na, .jp, you know, it's very social. It's very easy to connect, to talk to Japanese people, to chat via texting. There's also something, and I think it's an AU only thing, called C-mail, the letter C-mail. And I think it's where you can type in a number, like a phone number, and it sends a text to that number. I don't think some of the other companies do it. I don't think I'll ever use it. It's very easy to do. You know, we jokingly call it phone sex. You just put your keitai up to somebody else's keitai, and boom, you shared all your information in seconds. You know, and they have your name and a little picture of you if you want them to, and your phone number and your keitai email, etc. So when you meet someone else, it's very easy to just, you don't have to sit here and go, tell me your email and type it in, and, you know, it's just boom, through infrared. Yeah, so I really am sort of new to cell phones, but it's like I bypassed the whole having one and texting and everything. I mean, it's funny. I'll show you really quick. If I create an email and there's this whole thing where all these little, symbols come up, and then they're called de-emoji, no, face marks. All these little like emoticons, but Japanese style, and there's just pages and pages of them. So if you're into all that cute stuff, it's there. I don't really use it, but when you want to send an email, there's all kinds of that stuff. It's a cool little phone. Okay, now to get to my final thing, and I'm at 25 minutes. Let's try to keep it under half an hour. Hey, what am I paying? The phone, I'm paying like 1,500 yen in my lease or something on the phone a month. There's some insurance. I pay a little bit for the plan. Like I said, I can only talk for 60 minutes a month. The main chunk of my payment every month is about 5,500 yen for unlimited use of the internet, texting, all that, my 3G, all that stuff. 5,500 yen a month. All told out the door, I think my last keitai bill was 8,600 yen for a month. Like I said, I don't think I'll ever go over that 60 minutes. So that's a lot. When you times that by 12 months out of the year, it's over $1,000 a year that I'm going to spend just to have a phone. Where I spent zero, back in my days in Taisha. It seems like a lot of money to me that, when Paul was here, I will admit, when Paul was here and we were running around Osaka trying to meet Kansai PJ, finding train times on here, looking up websites, using it when I was in Osaka and stuff, it was awesome. I'm not going to lie. I used it a lot. When I'm driving, sometimes I drive, back to Izumo where I used to live, and it takes me many hours, or I drive to Hiroshima, it takes me many hours. It's nice to have the phone in case you were to break down. All those reasons for, having a cell phone. But in my day-to-day, I barely use it. I really do barely use it. And maybe that's because I'm new to it, and I just haven't gotten used to using it. And I don't know that many people in my town yet, so it's not like I'm a real social butterfly or anything yet on it. But I feel like I'm paying a lot of money for a really pretty paperweight at the moment. So by no means will you have to spend that much to have a keitai. You can definitely get a really good Japanese cell phone here and probably be paying more, around 3,000–4,000 yen a month, maybe a little bit more if you want, unlimited. But if you're interested in bringing over your own phone or something, I don't know about that. You can ask me. I'll try to help, but I don't know about bringing over your iPhone or whatever. There's no like Blackberries here. The Japanese cell phone market is very insular and of its own thing. And your best bet if you're coming over is just to get one when you get here, because there's so many awesome ones to choose from. And if you do want an iPhone or do want this Google Android, they're available now. And, they're not too expensive. I think I would be paying almost the same a month for an iPhone, maybe a little less. All right, wow, that was a 30-minute vlog. My longest vlog ever. So thanks for watching. If you watched all the way till now, the cute kitty on this pad left by the person who used to live here says, thanks for watching. I like you. Okay. If you have questions, of course, leave them down below, and I'll do my best to answer. Other people, hopefully. Everybody has a cell phone that lives here, other than me. I was weird. So lots of other people can give you experience and advice if they're here and they're watching and they also live in Japan. Okay? Peace, Paki, and Pretz. See you guys soon. Bye.